Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Carol and I'm here with my co-hosts, Gretta, Kathleen, and of course the Realm of Beings. We'd like to remind everyone about our next expo coming up in February, the 7th to the 9th. We'll be at the LAX Hilton. We will be broadcasting our podcast live, and we will have a special guest. Again, Alan Steinfeld will be there to visit with us. So get your tickets. You can go to Expo New Life Consciousness.
No, Consciousness Expo.
And of course, you can always experiencing Shifting Impressions and all our latest news, including expos, on our website, www.therealmofbeings.com, Shifting Impressions on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, Spotify, Transformation Network, and any of your other favorite streaming platforms. We at Shifting Impressions are very happy to be here at Transformation Network every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Listeners, if you're new to this podcast, thank you for joining us and being part of this experience. These experiences will help you to look at your life and your creation of reality to see what you're creating, how it shows up, and how to help you gain perspective so you can learn how to shift what you are creating in order to create the reality that you want. So welcome everyone. To any new listeners or viewers, what we do each week, Gretta shares with us a quote given to her from the Realm of Beings, which first we will discuss with each other, and then halfway through the show, the Realm will come and discuss their quote with us in further detail. I'd like to say to everyone, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and didn't eat too much. And in the meantime, the quote this week, our title is, "Oh no, not me." When individuals attempt to defame you or try to make you feel unworthy, remember that they are showing who they are. It is not you. So again, I think we've spoken many times about how everyone is creating their own reality. So when people are saying things to you, you're the one creating to hear them. So if it's something you don't want to hear, it's generally a reflection of something that you're thinking about yourself. And that's probably why you're hearing it. It's also a way for them to reveal themselves to you, because if they're saying things that are defamatory, it's probably qualities in themselves that they don't like. And again, they're projecting outward, external, instead of internal. As we know, we should all be looking internally because that's where we create our reality. So you are you, and you are whoever you want to be. That's why you create your own reality in the first place, to learn your lessons and be you. And on that note, I'm going to invite Kathy or Gretta. Gretta usually defers to Kathy first and ask her to weigh in here.
He beat
Go
you
ahead.
too.
Go ahead, Gretta.
I like how you said that. Okay,
Well-
so I'm going to start with a story.
Oh, I love that.
I'm going to start with a story. You've probably heard the story before. I worked at this school, I was a teacher. I was the librarian of the school. I love library science because then I got a chance to teach the whole school from preschool all the way up to eighth grade. Okay. So I noticed something with these children. I don't care if they were in preschool, I don't care if they were in kindergarten, they would still come in. If they got angry at somebody, they would say, "You're a B." Now, for those people, I'm going to just spell it for those people who might be offended by me telling this story, but I'm going to see that you understand it thoroughly. Bitch. You're a B. But they didn't say you're a B. They actually said the word. I mean, the little kindergartners would come in. You bothered me. You B, you know. So finally, I got tired. I got tired of hearing them talk about each other like that. So then I said, what I'm going to do is teach everybody this thought. You cannot, if you call somebody a bee, you must be the bee first. I taught it all the way from preschool all the way up to eighth grade. When I said that you have to be it first, then everybody, it's amazing. The whole school, I didn't hear it anymore because they knew, oh my God, if I call you a bee, then I got to be the bee first. And I'm not a bee, so I'm not calling you a bee, right? Okay, everything's cool. Then all of a sudden, we get a new student. The new student gets upset, and their school environment supported them in saying the word bee. So this child has an altercation with one of the other students in the class. Soon as the children come into the library, they say, Miss Chamberlain, she called me a bee. Really? Yes. And all the children were so upset because they all came. It wasn't just the child because they took it like they were totally insulted. So I said, so what did you say? Well, we told her she had to be the one first. You told us that. We told her, you're the bee. We're not the bee. You're the bee because you called us a bee. You're the one. You're the one who's the bee. And I said, so what did she say? They said she became very silent and quiet. I said, oh, okay. That's my story of children learning that when you insult somebody, you are that which you insulted them as being. So the little kids all the way up to the big ones. So we're talking about preschool, we're talking about 3-year-olds all the way up. Learn that. Yeah. Total different thing. So the thing is that sometimes we want to criticize people. We want to talk about people and say, uh, or gossip. We want to get into that gossip.
Or guess what we think we know about them.
Right.
Right.
And then we're saying, well, he did so and so and so and so. Really? And then the next person says, so and so, he did so and so. I heard that. I saw it, the tale. That's that game.
Telephone game. Telephone.
Yeah.
Telephone.
Yep. It starts off, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a game that can be played with anybody, really. And the first person starts the story off or what they want to say. By the time, and the next person then repeats what they think they heard, and then the next person. And it keeps going on until at the last person. And then you say, okay, what did you hear? It has not failed that when it gets to the last person, it is definitely not like the story that was told in the beginning. So it's a lesson in showing how we deal with our own perceptions.
Exactly.
If somebody's a nasty person and you're thinking that they're nasty, your perception is telling you that person is nasty, then it behooves you to look at yourself first. You know, let's go internal, not external.
Greta, do you think a lot of times people will be defamatory towards someone else because they don't want to acknowledge that that's what they really feel about themselves?
I
So
think
it's
that most people, Carol, don't realize that.
Mhm.
Most people, when they start talking about somebody or judging somebody, they don't think of themselves as being that. They
Right.
just think it's an attack on the other person. Let me attack the person. Because that's really what's happening. You're attacking. If I have
But
to
don't
call,
people do that to make themselves feel better?
well, sometimes they can do that just out of anger,
Mm.
you know, just out of anger. Or they want to start a story about somebody that's not true. It's to hurt.
Mm.
That's
There's
what
one trick. Yep. And there's one trick my mother told me when someone is saying something like that, just go, "Oh, I don't think so," and walk away. Because the minute you listen, the next thing you know, they have you in the mix, especially growing up as a kid. Well, she said that about me, and you're with her, so you must think the same thing. Or the other person say, well, I said it, but she agreed with me. If you say, if you don't speak up, you know. But it is, it's just another one of those things that we seem to all kind of, I don't want to generalize, a whole lot of us kind of fall into the hole. Everyone, you know, whether it's on a consistent basis or if we create for someone to say something to us that we didn't like, and you go, well, they said that, and so I'm going to feel that way. Well, what's wrong with that person? We start going back and forth in our own mind with our own thoughts, like judging. And it takes a person that understands that they are creating it, like Greta said, to just take a step back and go, wait a minute, why did I create this whole situation? Or sometimes you might even think about something that you might say to someone that says something to you. And then you go, you know what, do I want to go down that path? So those are the kinds of things that you're kind of untraining yourself. It takes some untraining that I think we need to do. And if I'm wrong, then fine. But it's like we always have to untrain ourselves to stop doing what we normally do.
Breaking bad habits.
What were
Yeah.
you saying, Carol? I'm sorry.
Breaking bad habits. Because a lot of time that's all it is a habit. And we need to retrain the brain to start understanding what we're creating.
But it's being done to hurt ourselves. That's the other
Right.
part. You know what I mean? That's it below the surface to me. It's like, why would I want to create a situation imaginary in my mind? If someone says this, I'm going to be ready and have this remark to come back at them. And, you know, because I was never brave enough. And Carol, I think you said you weren't brave enough either to stand up for yourself as a child. Kathy's not a fighter, but now words, I learned how to use words now. And as a way of self-defense. But I didn't realize that I was creating that. And then I would lay in bed at night and said, I should have said this when they said that. And I don't know what you call you. We've all done that. And
Yeah.
so what you practice doing is the next time you get your repertoire together, you get your snaps together. So when someone says something, so you think I'm stuck up, or wait until you see the wall. You think you're stuck up, wait until you see the wallpaper I paste up. Okay, I mean, you got all these little things coming back at you, but we don't realize that we're creating them.
Even
exactly, and it's who can hurt me the most? Who can I hurt the most? But when we do that, we're hurting ourselves. We want to be hurt. We just want to be hurt because we don't love ourselves.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
And there
Absolutely.
are some people who, in order to make themselves feel good, they think they have to make others feel bad. Bullies are a good example of that. I've seen many, many stories of kids who were bullies, and it turns out their home lives, they came from situations that were very unfavorable situations for children. They didn't come from loving households. And that was their way of expressing or having what they felt was control over what they didn't feel they had control over at home.
Yeah,
So a
but
lot
yeah.
of times, there's many layers and many facets. So again, it's always perception and how each one of us from our own experiences perceive someone else. And we
And
tend
right.
to look through our eyes and our experiences, but their perception and their experiences could be completely different. And it's not for us to judge. That's what we're always trying to explain. We should not be judging anyone because you don't know what their life is like. You don't know what lessons they're trying to learn. So,
Yeah, but Carol, sometimes bullies always have a squad, and a bully is never a bully by himself. And one can only look at the previous few weeks with this previous election, where one could say a bully was elected, and the squad followed the bully. So I mean, it's like, oh no, not me, and we could stretch it out a little bit, and that's what popped into my head there, um, because I just find it amazing, and working through that, um, as a human being, I realized that I could hold on to that, or I could let it go. And what I
right.
asked myself was, is thinking about that and being angry and not trusting the people I'm sitting next to, is that taking me out of my joy spot? And I
Mhm.
decided that it was. And I shared this with Greta. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to what makes me happy and fills me with joy, because this is all an illusion anyway. And
Right.
only person I can change is myself, and
Yep.
change my experiences, and change. Therefore, I had to really consciously change my thoughts and really practice self love, and really practice on what kind of reality do I want to create for myself? What kind of life do I want to create for myself? And I decided, ain't nobody going to take my joy. Nothing. Only I can give that joy up, and I'm not doing it.
See, the word, when you said bullies always have a squad, like a gang, the word that came to me was fear. That those people that are following that so called bully are fearful of that person.
But
And
get
I
this, Carol, the person who's the bully is
is
also
all
fearful.
fear. Yeah,
Very fearful. He's
You
afraid
know,
more than anybody else.
right.
exactly. They're
It's the
afraid to show who
appearance.
they really are.
And they're
Yeah.
bullies even as adults.
Oh, for sure.
I'd like to share the story my mother told me when I was a little girl. My mother worked in an office situation, and this one particular man, he was a very nice man, my mother said. But the supervisor was always coming to make cracks on him or to say derogatory things toward him, things that were knocking him down, trying to knock him down every time. So this went on, this was going on since the man was working there and the other guy was his supervisor. Well, finally, one day my mother came home and she said, Greta, you know what happened? I said, what happened, Ma? She said, so and so got so angry with the supervisor, he picked up his fist, socked him in the face, and knocked him out.
Wow.
And he was laying out there. Okay, so that's an example of using physical force to solve the challenge. But did it really solve the challenge? Who knows? We don't know.
That's a big reverberation.
Right, a reverberation of it. So, but the thing is, and then there are children that they get hurt by the same person, and finally they just go and attack. You see, there's an attack. But so that means in order to attack, you have taken on the whole emotionality of that situation. You have become very emotionally involved in it, you see. So the thing is, like Kathy says, nobody can take her joy from her. Nobody. So you want to stay away from a situation. Don't create it.
That's the
Yes.
bottom line.
See, if a bully comes up to you, you created to have the bully there. That's your personal experience. That man who stood for who was bullying the other employee got socked in the face. So look what he created. He created to keep bullying and bullying and bullying him. So what does that do to him? It makes him more creating the opportunity to be bullied or hurt in some way as well, because he's giving attention. Whatever you're giving attention to, if you're giving attention to hurting somebody, that's energy. That energy is going to turn around and snap poof you, because that's where you're at. You're at trying to hurt this person. I'm trying to hurt this person because you believe in your perception of things, you believe this person hurt you. So now I'm going to turn around and I'm going to get back at that person. But first of all, you don't realize that you created the person to hurt you in the first place. So that's why the person can't hurt you. So, and second thing is that the person was supporting you exactly where your thoughts and emotions were. So that's why you got treated the way you did, you see. So it's a two-way street, because then the person who's doing the quote unquote hurting is also at the same time simultaneously opening themselves up to be hurt. See, it's not ever just one way.
Right.
It's always a two-way street.
Right.
You
And
know.
see, and that's why, Greta, and Carol, even with, we had the show a couple of weeks ago with the election. There are a lot of people that are saying, other people voted to hurt me, to harm me, to kill me. And, they're basically expressing that. And I said, wow, look what we're about to create. There's a probability that, if you think somebody voted to hurt you, then guess what? You're going to get hurt. If you think somebody voted to deport you, guess what? You're going to get deported. So you should change your thought. Change your thought, Change your thought, change your reality. And it's just very, very interesting.
You know what I tell people? Some people call me, they say, I've been fired.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I can say is that's wonderful. Look what you created for yourself. Because nobody can fire you. In fact, I was talking to a woman this morning. Nobody can fire you at all. Now, until you want to leave. If you focus on leaving, I want to get out of here. I'm tired of this place. I'm tired of this job. I don't like working for these people. You're going on and on and on and on and on. So eventually you're creating enough energy. You're putting that all around yourself. Instead of putting, I love myself unconditionally, you're putting around yourself, I hate this job. This job is not servicing me anymore. I don't like the people. They're getting on my nerves. So you're building that whole, I see you smiling, Carol, that they're building that energy up around you instead of loving yourself. So then what happens? then the boss has got to support you there.
Yeah.
Say, okay, come into my office. Yes, we're firing you today. You see.
Well,
There
see,
you
yep,
go.
because I'm gonna tell you what, you know how I would handle that. See, here's what I learned when I retired. I didn't say healthy and wealthy. So if I was gonna do that, I would say I'm leaving this job because I'm getting a higher paying job, better hours, better benefits. That's how I would change that thought. I would create what I want to experience in the job. So therefore, I could say, you know what, I'm giving you 2 weeks notice. I'll plant you now and dig you later. And then out the door I would go. So that's just how you can the flip reverse of what you're saying. And if you're going to retire, retire healthy and wealthy.
Claim that. Like you
Claim
said, Kathy, you got to claim it. You got to claim it. Some people
I was
just
laughing because a few years back, Greta, what did I do? I came home in the middle of the day, and what did I tell you? I fired myself. And here I am, Kathy, with a job that I love. So,
good.
and I wrote everything down, what I wanted, and I got exactly what I asked for. So it
Works
works.
every time. Works every time.
It sure does.
Right, right. So I think a big thing also is I'd like to go into collective consciousness. I'd like to go into that there's a collective consciousness of thought. And what's important to understand is that even though and I said it in the last 2 podcasts, if you are in a collective, you still have your own personal experiences that you're going to have inside that collective. And your personal experiences trump the collective.
Yep, sure do.
Because that power of creation of reality is within you. So you don't have to create the collective's establishment. You don't have to do that. Because you can belong to a collective of criticism. Kathy brought up the elections. Everybody was criticizing. One part was criticizing the other part was criticizing the other. We had people going back and forth, calling people this and that, and they're not doing this and they're not doing that. And I know I got tired of hearing it.
Absolutely.
To be perfectly honest with you, I stopped even really paying too much attention. And I told somebody, I said, I've refocused to decorate my house for Christmas. Although people will say, well, Greta, I thought you weren't Christian. That's right. You're absolutely right. But you know what? I honor these holidays. I love these holidays. The light, the holiday of the light, the Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. I'm into all that stuff. Why not? Because it brings me joy. So it's just a wonderful thing. And so it helped me to refocus.
Yep.
I'm not going to be emotionally engulfed in all of this. I want to refocus. I want to refocus on getting me a Christmas tree, and putting lights and everything and standing back going, look at this gorgeous tree.
I want to find one my cat won't attack.
Good luck. Mine's meowing outside the door right now.
We got to go to break.
Let me in. We do. We want to speak to the realm. So Greta, thank you. We're going to ask you to bring the realm. Listeners, please stay with us. We're going to take a very short break, and we will be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're here at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realms of Beings. We're at that portion of the show where the realm will come in and speak about the quote that they gave Greta that we've been discussing. So we're going to ask the realm to say howdy, depending on what time of day someone's listening or watching.
Howdy.
Okay. And the quote we're talking about is, when individuals attempt to defame you or try to make you feel unworthy, remember that they are showing you who they are. It is not you.
That's a goodie.
It is.
Because, people like to talk about people. Sometimes people just get started and they've just got to keep on talking and keep on talking and keep on talking about somebody. Don't want to be quiet. They got to just say, this is what this person is. And if they created a challenge with that person, then they're really going to keep on with it. You can hear it. You can, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some things where people talk against each other on Facebook.
Oh, gosh, yes.
You see. So it's like a standard way of life. We must talk about each other, or we must talk about something in a negative light. So when we're doing that, when it's being done, you are that energy. You are absorbing that energy. And you are surrounding yourself by that energy unto itself. People are always talking about another person in these types of sitcoms, as you call them, or saying the dozens. Is that correct, Kathleen? Is that
Yes, the dozens popped into my head, which is why you picked it up. Yeah, cheap, yeah, by the dozens. It was a game that leftover enslaved people that were not of value would play. It was talk about each other's mother to make themselves feel better. But that's the origin of the dozens.
So they would say your mother is that, and
yes.
No,
in other words, you're not worth anything because of your mother.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Right, and if you got mad, it means you lost the game.
So that was even a game.
It was a game to make themselves feel better.
Wow.
By you're already being sold.
Yes. About talking about somebody else would make them feel better.
Correct. Somebody else's. That's why they're not worth anything. That's why they're not worth anything. If other enslaved people being sold for $1,500 and you're only worth $50, it's your mother's fault. That's why they created the dozens, as a way to make themselves have some worth. It was a way of pushing away the hurt by hurting each other even more.
Now, that's interesting, because even though people would not be aware of the game of playing the dozens, or we could even take it out of being a game and put it into emotional survival.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that I'm going to survive this because I'm going to talk about you. And I'm going to say you're like this. So, but what it also does is it puts you, the person who's talking about the other person, will then put themselves on like I'm better than that.
Exactly. That's exactly the purpose of the dozens.
You see, that's interesting. But I think when we talk about people in a negative light, that's what we're doing anyway. We're playing the dozens, regardless if we know we're playing it or not. Would you say so?
I would.
Mm-hmm.
because and then what we don't understand is that when it's in our mind and it's coming out in a negative way about someone, we don't realize that that thought and those emotions were inside of us.
Correct.
And what we've done is bring them outside of us. It didn't start like those things about how you feel about somebody started on the outside. It started on the inside of you.
That is absolutely, yes, that is absolutely correct.
So it's by perception.
Yes.
So you may be having a difficult time with person A, but another person can come around and love person A.
Correct.
So that you're going to view person A by way of where you are, because that's the only place, that's the only way you can view them.
Or person A, the other person can be persuaded to go to agree with what the other person is saying about the person you don't even know.
Absolutely. So you're gaining more momentum.
Correct. You're gaining a following, someone to support you in that low vibrational thought of yourself that you think you're putting on someone else.
Absolutely. So it's like to note that but I want to say this. It's lack of love of self for you to attempt to destroy another person in using your words or your thoughts or your emotions, actualizing them into physical realities. But the destruction, it appears like you're destroying the other person. But what you don't understand is that you're really destroying yourself. If you talk about somebody in a negative light, first, before you can talk about that person in a negative light, you've got to be there yourself. The next thing, when you talk about the person in a negative light, we know now that you have to be in that place. You have to be the actual thing that you're telling them that they are. So when you do that, it may appear like it is something you're doing outside. You're just sending that. You're not thinking about energy either. But see, before it goes out, it's got to increase inside. So if you're calling that person outside, well, you're no good. It has to be inside you, and it's going to increase in it. The more you think about the person being no good, the more the no good increases within you. So you're really turning around and hurting yourselves, is what we're trying to get across. So you don't really hurt the person unless the person wants to feel hurt, like that example that Greta gave about the man just socked the man in the eye or face and knocked him out cold. We don't expect everybody to go around doing that. You'd be arrested. But the thing is, if you think the destruction is outward, unless it's physical, you think that. But even when it's going physical, it's still inside you. And it's festering and it's growing. It's increasing its energy inside you. So you want to stop talking about people. It's like going, well, you know, his wife is going out with another man, you see. So what are you setting up for yourself if you're married? Can somebody answer me?
Same thing.
Your spouse is going to cheat on you.
Absolutely. Because you're giving that energy. You're giving it energy, and the energy started inside you.
Right.
It's really going to stay inside you, you see, unless that person accepts it. If the person accepts it, then, but it's still going to stay in you, but it's going to travel and say, let me go over here to person A or person B, because energy has life. It just doesn't sit down and stay in one place.
Well,
It's going to move around.
may I ask a question then, Realm?
Yes.
Because that's another habit that humans seem to dwell in or really embellish to their own detriment and everyone else's detriment. I know we can QDR that, but oh my goodness, I got confused just that quickly. The question that I'm trying to formulate is because I know I'm guilty of that, and I know that I have been really focusing on saying, why am I thinking that about that person? I don't want to think that. And I'm saying, well, what is that saying about me? And a lot of us don't know how to do that. And because we don't even recognize that we're doing it. And sometimes someone can just piss you off so much that you're such a habit, you're so used to doing it that you just jump right into it. Or you see someone and you go, oh, here comes Debbie Downer. So, but you can, the only way you can know that's a Debbie Downer, according to what you're saying, is if you have practiced or have experienced being Debbie Downer yourself. And do you want to stay in that mold? And we're basically trying to create a whole different mold for ourselves, a whole different reality, as we call it, and but all the reverberations. So, I know we do QDRs, but what are some other tips you can give us as humans to not even go down that path? Don't even begin walking that way, or is it just not possible?
Anything is possible, Kathy. Anything is possible, even though it may appear that it isn't, but it's just a illusory appearance. But what do you do to keep yourself from going down that road? One thing would be to pay attention to yourself. Am I getting ready to say something derogatory to my friend about this other person I've met or know? Am I getting ready to do that? When you're getting ready to do that, then stop and don't do it. Just don't do it. You see, that's the thing. Don't do it. That's one way to stop yourself. But in order to stop yourself, if you're a person who's really, really, really ingrained in that behavior, then it may be a challenge. It may be like the man who was accosting the man on his job, even though it was just verbally, but then the man turned out, stood up and socked him in the eye. Knocked him out, in fact. So maybe that's how he had to learn. But look what he created. He created to be knocked out. Because see, and the man could do that because he was supporting him. That meant he held everything he said about the man, he held him inside himself. So therefore, then the man supported him in that holding and socked him. So one way is to watch what's going through your brain. Watch it. If it's leading you to criticize somebody in any way, shape, or form, leave it. In other words, if you can't say anything good about somebody, then don't say anything at all. I think that's one of your humanoid adages, but it's quite apropos for this situation.
Agreed.
You can't say anything good about somebody, be quiet. You don't need to go there. Somebody
Realm,
might say something.
oh, realm. Maybe I'm misinterpreting the perception of the quote, but I was seeing this not as much as we saying things bad about others, but for us to not accept others saying bad things about us. Because it says when individuals attempt to defame you or try to make you feel unworthy, remember they're showing who they are and that it's not you. You are the one who knows you. So I'm seeing this from the opposite viewpoint.
It's another way of addressing it too, Carol.
Yeah, of understanding if someone does say something that you don't want to hear, that they're really identifying themselves, and you shouldn't take it so personally, I guess, because if you take it personally, then you start to believe it too.
Not only start to believe it, but you give it more life.
Exactly.
And something like that, you want to just cut it off.
Hmm.
You know, we've known Greta to say to somebody that she was talking to, they were talking about her in a negative light. And the only thing she said was, "Thank you for telling me about you."
Yep.
She literally said that to someone. You know, we were there. We always travel with her, so we get all of these experiences. But the bottom line is, you're right. And Kathy, you're right. It's a two-way street here. So we've been addressing this statement in two different ways, but they all are the same. Don't
Exactly.
you criticize other people. And if you create to be criticized because you don't love yourselves enough, then let it go. And no, it's not you. No, it's the other person. But why create that in the first place?
Exactly. That's the whole thing. And that's some of the things that I have been I've recognized more and more and more. And so I have been deliberately rolling it back and really practicing. And actually, you have to recognize what you're doing so you can stop what you do. You don't
Right.
recognize it, then you can't do a darn thing about it. But I guess that's the way I'm saying. I'm recognizing it more, even when it's like thinking about, I don't know, people in the pool, people, just anyone, gee, I don't want to think that. I'm not going down that path. No, no, no. And just rolling it back and looking inward within yourself and just cutting it off at the pass. Don't even go down the road.
What comes to my mind is, speaking of humanoid adages, is treat others as you wish to be treated.
That sounds biblical. Or do
Well,
unto
I read the
others as
Bible
you
when
would
I
have them do unto you. But there are some people that want to do unto others, do more harm. I don't know. If we're hurting ourselves, I don't know how that if I want to say that one anymore, Carol. Do unto
well,
others
I'm
and you
looking
have them
at it
do
from
unto
a
you.
different perspective. I'm looking
Yeah.
at it. I would like to be treated well, so I try to treat others well. I guess that's my perspective of that adage.
Yeah. Yeah. But it could go both ways now. That's
True.
came to me. That's what came to me. Well, I do want
Yeah,
to be treated mean
it's
because I
also
don't love
true.
myself. So I'm gonna insult you. I'm going to uh, say how unworthy you are because that's how I feel about myself. So I'm gonna do unto others as I would have them do unto me. Support me in not loving myself. So I'm not gonna use that one anymore. I'm done
Mm.
with that. Sorry, Realm.
Good idea to be done with that uh, talking against. Because all it's doing is putting more energy out there in the world. Energy combines with other energies that are like it. So it's out there, combining itself, affecting the whole world.
Getting bigger.
And see, to talk about somebody, let's get down to the real nitty-gritty. How can you talk about somebody if it's into your relationships, into your personality? It's how you perceive that person to be. You perceive that person to be in a hurtful manner. That hurtful manner is inside you. So then, when that hurtful manner was presented to you, how did you feel? See, it had to be presented to you in some way or another before you could present it to another person.
And also make you negatively, like to piggyback on what you're saying. If you see someone and go, gee, or you think of yourself as being too skinny or too short or too fat, then of course you're going to project that onto other people, and you're going to have always something smart to say, to support you in not not loving yourself, because you really, if you say that person should be ashamed that they're that fat or that skinny, that's really saying you're ashamed of your being fat or that skinny, because it's bothering you. It ain't bothering that other person.
Not only that, but it shows that somewhere along the line, you have experienced that from
That's exactly
somebody else,
correct.
yourself.
Yep.
Then we have to get into self-value.
Hmm.
How do you value you?
That
How
goes
do
back to the
you
show
value?
last week. That goes back to the show last week.
Yes. How do you value you? Because you created for the other person to tell you that. So you see how that travels. Another person tells you that, you take it inside your personality, then you don't like it, but then you see somebody else, let me give it to that person. So you're passing it along, you see, because all it is nothing but energy. And it takes a lot of energy to
To do
tell
it.
somebody that they're terrible. Which way do you want to be? What is your duality? I
I'd
want
rather
to
use
be
the energy to tell someone they're wonderful.
absolutely,
There you go.
absolutely. Because then that person is supporting, you are supporting that person where you're at. And you're
Exactly.
at a point of loving self and seeing divinity in self. So
Correct.
therefore you see the divinity in others.
Realm, we've got about a minute left. Are there any final statements you'd like to make to the audience?
We would say, as we say at almost every podcast, love yourselves. It's not being selfish. It's just appreciating your divinity. And every being is divine. We all just have different personalities. Like there's some people who have certain personalities, you wish that you hadn't met them. You wish that you had never seen them, you see. So don't give uh, that energy to that person. Use it for yourself. Use it for yourself. It's not being selfish for you to love yourself. It's important. When you love yourself, then everybody else around you has to support you in that, because it's create, support, create. That's the protocol for existence. That works regardless of what planet you're on, what universe you're on. It's create, support, create for everybody and everything, really, to the honest God truth. So
Very wise words.
Love yourself.
Very wise. Realm, we're going to ask if we can have Greta back to say our goodbyes. And
Absolutely.
thank you again for everything, Realm. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Transformation Network. And most importantly, thank you, audience. Until we create each other again next week. Enjoy.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with the realm and me, Greta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multi-dimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.